This week we've got a 2019 Ram 1500 Bighorn powered by the Pentastar V6 with eTorque, which means it's time for another highway MPG loop. Thanks to our friends at Ram Canada, we have a 2019 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab 4x4 for the week. This truck is my first experience with the 2019 Ram 1500 powered by the Pentastar V6, and the Pentastar engine itself was heavily revised for 2019, adding in features such as variable valve lift and a cooled exhaust gas recirculation system. Power remains at 305 horsepower and 269 pound-feet of torque. All new for 2019 is the eTorque system, which is standard on the Pentastar V6 and optional on the 5.7-liter Hemi V8. While the eTorque system won't help at highway speeds, it does provide a lot of benefits in around town driving that we will get into when we publish a full review of this truck. We recently took this truck on our highway MPG loop that we used on the 2019 Ram Rebel, powered by the 5.7-liter Hemi V8. For the purposes of this test, we filled up with 87 octane, waited 30 seconds, and after the pump shut off, and pumped fuel again until the pump shut off a second time. Total distance is roughly 173 kilometers or 108 miles, and this is not a perfectly flat stretch of highway. It does have some hills, but it's nowhere near being a mountain pass. We set the cruise control to 113 kilometers an hour, or 70 miles per hour, and tried to stay as close to that speed for the duration of the trip. Alright guys, so we just finished filling up at the gas station. We're going to reset the trip meter here and get onto the highway and see how it does. We used the 2-click method as before, so we'll get out there. Round trip, I believe, is about 178 kilometers, and we'll see how this V6 with eTorque does on the highway MPG loop. Okay, so we just merged onto the highway. It's about 2 kilometers from the gas station to the highway. It's about 7 o'clock at night, so hopefully we're gonna miss any traffic and stuff like that. We've got the trip meters all reset. We're gonna try to keep a constant speed of about 70 miles an hour or 113 kilometers an hour, which is what we did with the last 2019 Rebel that we tested. Now that truck at the end of it knocked down 12.07 liters per 100 kilometers, which is the equivalent to 19.5 US MPG. So I imagine that this truck is going to do quite a bit better than that. Of course, you've got the smaller, more road-focused tires. They're a lot less aggressive than the Duratracs. This truck as well does have the air suspension like the Rebel did. And this truck is powered by the 3.6-liter Pentastar V6 with eTorque. So I'm really curious to see how it's going to do on this MPG loop. I do not know the gearing that's in this truck right now. It wasn't on the window sticker, but I will find out before the video is posted, and I'll put it down right here for you guys. So we're cruising along right now. We're at 12.5 liters per 100 after about 5.7 kilometers. I'm just stuck behind the truck right now, but at least we're in traffic that's flowing. So I'll check in with you guys in a little bit here. So I've been driving this truck for about a day now. We picked it up yesterday, and this is the first time that I have driven a 2019 Ram 1500 powered by the Pentastar V6. It's also the first time I've driven a 2019 Ram 1500 with the eTorque system. And the one thing I have to say is I'm actually very impressed so far with this powertrain. One of the features of the eTorque system is it does give you auto start-stop functionality. So when you stop at a light, the vehicle shuts off, you let off the brake, it starts back up again. Now, typically I hate that auto start-stop deal because it's rough, it's loud, you can feel it, and it's laggy. I actually forgot that this truck even had auto start-stop because of how smooth it is and how fast it reacts when you get off the brake pedal, how fast it spins the engine back up. So you actually have to really, really pay attention for it, and you can feel a little slight shudder only if you're paying attention. Otherwise, the system works seamless. I am actually very impressed with the auto start stop as part of the eTorque system. I think if it was my truck, I would just leave it on. I'd have no reason to turn it off because it doesn't seem to really affect anything negatively. Now, besides that, the powertrain is very refined and very smooth. The truck is exceptionally quiet. The one thing that I will say is that the Pentastar, it makes all the power up in the higher RPM range. So the mid-range does feel a little soft on this truck. Say if you're turning onto a side road or something like that, you really do need to give it a little bit more throttle than you normally would in, say, a Hemi-powered truck to get up and going again. But that's honestly really my only knock on it so far. Of course, we're going to be doing a full review of this truck, which will be on next week after we spend more time with this vehicle. So right now we've been driving for half an hour. Our trip average is showing 9.9 liters per 100 kilometers. We're about over a quarter of the way done our loop. So we're at 51.7 kilometers right now. So we'll check back in after we turn around and see where it's at, and then we'll check back in with you guys at the gas station and give you guys the final number, hand calculated, after we finish this loop. Okay guys, so we've been driving for 49 minutes. We're just pulling up to our turnaround spot. The computer's showing 10.4 liters per 100. I hope that we're actually beating that number like we did with the Rebel, because, well, it's not terrible. It's not exactly what I thought we would get. So stay tuned. We'll check in a little bit. We're just going to turn around here and start heading back. Okay, so we're a little over halfway done our highway loop now. We're just on our way back. And like every time I drive one of these 2019 Rams, it just blows me away how well sorted out they are. This truck drives exceptionally well. It's very smooth, it's very quiet, and it's really, compared to the competition, it's no wonder at all why Ram's gaining market share at a record pace. For the first half of this year, they're already ahead of the Silverado for the first time ever. If everything continues going the way that it's going, which of course anything can change, Ram will be number 2 in sales at the end of the year, behind Ford for the first time ever. And when you drive the trucks, it's really not a surprise why. They're very, very good. Now, another thing I've noticed is that this thing's got no problem at all, even with the V6, just lugging along in 8th gear on the highway. At 70 miles an hour, we're sitting at about 1550, 1600 RPM, which is not too bad at all. That leads me to believe that this has the 321 gears, but like I said, we'll confirm that for you by the end of the video. So the weather's taking a bit of a turn for the worse. It's raining pretty good right now. Don't anticipate having any issues running into traffic on the way back. So right now we're at 56 minutes of drive time, and it's sitting at 10.5 liters per 100 kilometers. But we'll check in when we get back to the pump, fill it back up, and I will give you the results in liters per 100 and in US MPG. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Okay guys, so we're just about to pull into the Chevron. I've just got to go up here, make a U-turn to get in. And we're still showing 10.6 liters per 100K or 22 miles per gallon on the screen. Total trip is about 172 kilometers, as we'd said. So let's get this thing filled up and see what the final result is. Our total distance traveled was 172.3 kilometers or 107.7 miles. The total travel time was 1 hour, 39 minutes, and 34 seconds, which gives us an average speed of 103.8 kilometers per hour or 64.5 miles per hour. In a real-world setting, that is pretty close to our goal of 70 miles per hour. We used 19.034 liters or 5.02 US gallons to make the trip, with the trip computer showing an average of 10.6 liters per 100 kilometers or 22.2 miles per gallon. Unfortunately, upon hand calculating the fuel economy, we did not beat the trip computer as we did in our Rebel, and ended with 11 liters per 100 kilometers or 21.3 miles per gallon. Our last Rebel tester achieved 12.07 liters per 100 kilometers or 19.5 miles per gallon hand calculated, which puts it very close to our results with this V6. I have seen much better highway MPG results from other publications on Pentastar Rams, so our test could be an anomaly. While the truck does have an EPA rating of 24 miles per gallon on the highway, there's a big reason why real-world results are generally so far off. The EPA tests vehicles on a dynamometer instead of in the real world, and as a result of this, you don't see the effects of wind drag on a vehicle, which really come into play at highway speeds. The EPA's highway loop is also based on a 12.5-minute drive cycle over a simulated 10 miles with an average speed of 48 miles per hour and a top speed of 60 miles per hour. As we mentioned, our test top speed was 70 miles per hour and our average speed was 64.5 miles per hour. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and found it informative. If it's your first time here, please consider subscribing, hitting the notification bell, and giving us a like. Stay tuned for the full review of this truck and a whole lot more great content coming soon. I'll talk to you guys in the next video.